This is a sizzle reel that I made for one of my very first clients, Erica Omanya. We made this and built it out for her so that she could, one, improve her social media presence, two, attract new viewers and potential investors, and three, most importantly, share her story and get it out into the world. Hi, I'm John and I run a digital marketing agency. And in this video, I'm gonna walk you through from start to finish how I went about my very first client, Erica Omanya, from landing the deal to ideation, to filming, production, editing, and finally the last deliverable. So let's dive right in and see how this all came together. Let me back up and give you some context. My client's name is Erica Omanya, who's the founder of Calm Curations. She focuses on health and wellness and planning community events around that to support and elevate health and wellness for other people. We initially got connected through one of our mutual friends, Brian, who is the founder of Hit of Happiness. Shout out Brian. And once we hopped on the phone, we hit it off, and that's when we started to learn more about what Erica was actually looking for, which brings me to the first step of aligning with your client on their actual goals and what they're looking to do. On this initial call, we came to realize that Erica was planning for one of her very first events, the Autumn Renewal Retreat, where people would come in to join in a community event of yoga, sound baths, intentional writing, and a lot more, and also just networking in general. Initially, Erica wanted me to just capture footage of the event, but as we started talking, we came to realize that the event is great and we can always capture content for it, but the issue is no one really knows Erica or her story on why she created Calm Curations, why she became a founder, and why she's so passionate about health and wellness. And so rather than just filming for the event, we came to the consensus that let's look and work on a highlight reel that she can show off to everyone so that she can showcase who she is, why she's doing it, and what Calm Curations is all about. One major tip that I want to emphasize here is truly aligning on the goals and the desires of the client. When you're speaking to someone or working and providing a service for someone, you really need to understand what they're looking for, because if at the very beginning you're misaligned on that, the entire rest of the project is honestly probably going to be a waste of time. If you aren't on the same page about what the final deliverable is, what they're actually looking for, then the project will not succeed. And obviously you don't want to do that. So everything that you can do at the beginning to mitigate that possibility is crucial. At this point, Erica and I were fully aligned on the final deliverable of a highlight sizzle reel that she could use to showcase her talents and her story. Now it was my job to take all the information I got, go back to the drawing board, and create an actual compelling narrative to really showcase this story. What that looked like were 4 primary elements. One was an interview component. 2 was candid footage from the actual event that she was running, the Autumn Renewal Retreat. 3 were photos and videos that she had to really showcase her personality. And then 4, a song of her choice that really resonates with her. Now with these 4 elements, we were able to finally create a sizzle highlight reel. And now that we have the idea, now let's get on to the actual execution of this plan. The first thing we need to execute on was actual footage from the event. And so on the day of the Autumn Renewal Retreat, I joined and I started filming as much as I could. When it comes to filming, you definitely want to capture high emotional moments, high impact moments, but you also don't want to forget the details. B-roll is incredibly important. Without B-roll, you lose so much of an actual event, the emotion, the flow of the entire environment. And so capture the little things as well. What this looked like was I started capturing candid, genuine interactions that Erica had with her guests, nonchalant moments while people were eating and just talking, while people were writing, I was capturing that. My advice when you're filming events is always shoot more than you think you need, because honestly, half the footage, generally speaking, probably won't be useful to you, and it's better to be able to pick from more rather than less. It'll make your editing process much smoother and a lot more useful, potentially even more impactful in the long run. One thing I do want to share is the Ray-Ban Metas were fantastic for capturing behind the scenes footage. Rather than me focusing on like my iPhone behind me and trying to capture me as I'm walking around with the camera, I just put on the Ray-Ban Metas and you actually get a first person point of view of me shooting and capturing what I'm seeing. And so really recommend Ray-Ban Metas for that. It made behind the scenes so much smoother. Another tip for capturing footage during events is you have to think about the end product in mind. You can't just focus in on one angle. You really want to diversify the different types of footage and shots you have so that you have more flexibility when you're going into the editing process. So, you know, what that looks like is maybe you have a great angle of someone and a candid moment directly. Then you also want to find a different angle where maybe you're lower, maybe you're higher. And what this does is provides you a diverse portfolio as well as a diverse set of videos that you can choose and pull from later in the editing process, which is incredibly helpful. The next portion that really brings this sizzle reel to life is the interview. And so for this, we found a different day to meet up. We went to a park and we conducted an interview where I filmed and asked her questions. But something that I really try to emphasize is interviews and bringing out a story from someone isn't just asking questions. You have to find a way to bring a genuine story out of an individual that may or may not feel comfortable in front of a camera, which is quite difficult to do, but with practice, you'll get there eventually. And I'm telling you, it makes a huge difference. One, in terms of the final product and the final responses that you get, and two, just the comfort of the client, the comfort of the person on the other side of the camera. You have to remember that not everyone is comfortable talking to a camera, not everyone is comfortable being interviewed, and so really bringing out someone's story and making it feel authentic and genuine is a huge skill set. So if you can master that, you will be very well off and ahead of a lot of your competition. I want to give another shout out to Erica. She was an absolute natural in front of the camera and her answers just flowed. What I normally like to do is I prepare a set of interview questions and then I'll share that with the client beforehand so that they can look over the questions, potentially prepare, or just have an idea of what I'm going for and what kind of story I'm trying to tell through those questions. And I'll always do my best to guide the conversation because again, it's not just asking questions, it's really finding a way to pull out the genuine story from the individual. And sometimes that means you go off script. Maybe I had these 3 questions lined up, but they said something that really piqued my interest, and so I dive a little bit deeper into that and ask a follow-up question. What that allows is it gives not only the candid moment of a question that the client didn't prepare for, but it'll likely bring you a very genuine and authentic answer that really resonates with their audience as well as just their story in general. When you're filming an interview, the same strategies that you use for event footage is going to be the same style you use for interview footage. And what that means is not only are you going to be asking questions at this length or this directness, what that looks like is you want to play around with different angles. No one wants to watch an interview where the whole time I'm just staring blankly into the screen, talking and just reciting answers that I repeated. No, you don't want that. You want it to feel natural and you want there to be some dynamicness, some movement. And how you can do that is, one, use different focal lengths for your lenses. For myself, I used a 50mm lens, a 24mm lens, and then a 55 to 80mm lens. And what that did was trying different focal lengths gives you a different perspective of the subject, and then also using different camera angles really brings out a sense of dynamic nature to your videos and to your footage. We have the event footage, we have interview footage, and then Erica also sent me some personal clips and videos. Now bringing all that together, now we go into Adobe Premiere Pro, and that's where all the magic happens. The amount of footage you have is overwhelming, and unfortunately, you cannot keep it all. That's just not a thing. The interview itself had 30+ minutes of raw footage, and your end sizzle highlight reel only can be max like 5 minutes, but for this we were shooting for a 1 to 3 minute time duration. Which means this next part is incredibly crucial because when it comes to editing, it's up to you to figure out what you need to keep and what you need to throw away. You can't keep everything, so you really have to focus in on the core of what their story is. And for me, what helps is rather than going through all the footage from start to finish, what I like to do is I'll throw all the clips into Adobe Premiere Pro first, then I'll get a transcript of all the different footage. I'll export that transcript in text form because I can read faster than I can watch. And then from that, I'll grab the sentences that really showcase that entire story. And then after I have that script as a foundation, I'll go back to Premiere Pro, find the associated video clips that match the words and the sentences. And then from there, I'll have a base foundation of the story that I'm trying to tell. Throughout this all, you want to incorporate the music, you want to add different transitions, effects, and other elements to really bring out the storytelling and make it also visually engaging. At the end of the day, it is a video, so you can't just have a talking head. I guess you can. Well, I guess you can because everyone does that. But nonetheless, when you're doing a sizzle or highlight reel, you want there to be a more visual appeal and more dynamic nature to the actual video at the end. Now, once you've completed the editing process, all that's left to do is send that draft to your client. I sent it over to Erica. She provided some feedback. We went back and forth on different iterations, some different edits, and then finally, we landed on a final video product that she was really happy with, sent that over, and bada boom, bada bing, we're done. And that is the story of my very first client and how I created a highlight sizzle reel for her. So hope that was helpful. I'll see you later. Just kidding. And now the moment you've all been waiting for, here is the final reveal of the Sizzle highlight reel.
7 years, I realized there was a lot that I needed to unlearn that society has taught us. This month is actually 1 year since I started working on Comm Curations. I first started Comm Curations as a professional organizer specializing in home organization. As I dug deeper to try to figure out what I truly wanted, I evolved into what I am now, or who I am now, which is a wellness and event organizer and facilitator. When I think of founder, I think of these 3 words: nonlinear, creative, and freeing. Being a founder means being whoever I want to be. Through this transition, I've dealt with a lot of highs and lows. What I've done to help me get through that is nourishing my mind, body, and spirit, whether that's meditating, journaling, exercising, sometimes simply just pausing and breathing. I was born to help others become their best selves, to facilitate growth and inspire greatness. It all started with me asking myself what my passions are and what makes me happy. And to be quite honest, I couldn't answer it. I started reflecting, I started doing inner work, and I came across a question. And that question was, what is something that you enjoy doing as a kid that you enjoy doing as an adult? And for me, I realized it was organizing. Starting this new chapter to me means I get to reinvent myself as many times as I want. I'm in the chapter of standing on business. I've learned to always prioritize myself, always follow my intuition, and do what makes Erica happy.
So in terms of the lessons learned and takeaways that I got from this very first client, as well as this first project for this highlight sizzle reel, one thing I want to reiterate that I mentioned before is the importance of aligning with your client at the very beginning. The longer you wait to clarify anything, the worse it's going to be for everyone involved. I'm telling you, you got to trust me on this one. If you are not aligned with your client at the very beginning, there's very little hope that you'll be aligned at the very end. And after all the work is put in, people will not be happy. And that is what you want to definitely avoid when you're providing a service. So I really want to emphasize, truly align with your client. That could be hopping on multiple calls. It could be working on documents, hearing feedback, but the better you are and the clearer you are at the beginning, the smoother the rest of the entire process will be. Another thing that I would improve is during the interview portion of this, we just picked a park because it seemed like a good background and it seemed somewhat aligned with health and wellness. But I wouldn't recommend doing that. I'd recommend finding a private venue that really aligns with the client and what they're trying to showcase through their story. Because one, when we were at the park, you might see there's a lot of different moving parts that we can't really control. I think there was a portion where a kid was just walking in the frame. There was a man walking in the frame. I was able to remove some of that, which is great. But if you're in a controlled environment, it's a lot easier. You'll have a more consistent, stable background. You can also play around with lighting a bit more. When you're in the outdoors, you're really susceptible to literally anything. Nature could be your best friend or your worst enemy, right? Thankfully, we were working on an overcast day, so we didn't have to worry too much about exposure. But I really do wish I had some lights that I can manipulate and control to really bring out different shadows and different elements of emotion through lighting. Another tip, if you are doing interviews or are filming someone, it's always good to bring a mirror. I didn't realize this, but a lot of times people want to, check out what they look like before they're on camera, which makes so much sense. So from now on, I'm going to bring a mirror to all of my shoots so that the client feels as comfortable as possible and feels confident and great and proud. And so from now on, I plan to bring a mirror to every shoot so that whoever I'm working with can feel confident and comfortable in the way that they look and can, touch themselves up if they need to. And last but not least, I'd say be confident in your work. I was pretty nervous at the beginning because it was really difficult for me to kind of communicate my vision. But after I kind of talked her through it, as well as added the different footage and kind of showed her as I was creating what I was going for, it made the process a lot smoother. I think Erica really understood my vision earlier on, which really helped provide the creative freedom that I kind of wanted in order to create this sizzle reel in the end. And that was really, really awesome. And so if there's any way you can better communicate your vision prior to having to start or having someone needing to pay or what have you, the smoother it's going to be. It's all about reducing that friction. And so rather than leaving things to the unknown and just saying, trust me, show why that the client should trust you. And a lot of times that is through your work, a portfolio, or something of that nature. So definitely build that up, work on that, and share that to the client as early as you can. If you made it this far, one, I want to say thank you so much for watching. I hope this was helpful. If you're working with clients or providing a service for others, I'd love to hear your thoughts and where I could improve, what lessons you've learned in doing that. And if you want to follow along as I continue to build out this business, continue to showcase what I'm going through, the behind the scenes, please like, comment, subscribe. It'd be really great to start growing a community that is like-minded and also wants to do this. And yeah, definitely let me know what else you'd want to see. Again, I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for watching, and hope to see you guys at the next one. As always, stay safe, stay you.